We are now live, so you could just chill for 5 while or see if it's working or invite people. Welcome. It is 5 o'clock on Monday, which means it must be time for, what's the name of the show? Feelings with Robbie. Let's talk feelings with Robbie. Robbie Ripoll's here, a Ink Master reality TV star. No, he's so much more than that. But if you are interested in beaming in, I'm going to show you how to in a couple minutes. Before that, I am going to chat a little bit about the Reinventing the Tattoo Network, and to inform you about what's going on here, but also to give us a little bit of time to make sure that these streams are going out and everything is working. So please let us know in the chat rooms if this is working for you. This is a great time to share it around, take a screenshot, and do the stories. I don't know, a social media thing. Social media is about the here and now, which is what live shows are about. Okay. This is Guy Hitcherson's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where artists, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all invited to join into these live streams and literally join into these live streams, as well as enjoy the replays, meet up in real life at real life tattoo events to share with each other, ultimately to create better art and tattoos together. We're beaming out pretty much every day, and with your help, have actually evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that are receiving pretty great reviews. It's pretty awesome to be part of. Thank you very much. Now, you could always find Reinventing the Tattoo in either of the app stores, the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. You could find it on the YouTube. Do a search for the Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel. There are replays on the Roku channel. So if you are on Roku and do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo, download the app. It's got, I'll show off a little preview of it later. And then, wherever you're listening to podcasts, that would be the Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast. I think Amazon's got podcasts. Let me just fire up a screen share of the website here. So no matter where you're beaming in from or watching the replays at or any of those spots, if you are looking to recommend Reinventing the Tattoo, or if it's whatever, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're done doom scrolling and on Netflix and you can't find anything, you could come here to Reinventing the Tattoo. Up here on our free resources section, you can click Watch Reinventing 24/7. It's going to zoom you down here, and this is our replay channel. We've got like 12, I think, different channels. You'll see here, I don't want to go too far. We have 3 pages of 4 channels, right? So this is the Reinventing podcast. It's a worldwide reinventing business Zoom. We have Art Jams. This is a Sunday group that we do live with Jason Leeser, where people are invited to beam in and do some drawing. We have Art Jams. We have a Spanish channel. So there's all art jams and interviews in Spanish. We have Live in the Castro with Haley Adams. So she's beaming from San Francisco, talking with all sorts of people from the LGBTQ POC communities. We've got a tattoo machine channel, a tattoo convention channel, a sponsor channel, the marketplace for our sponsors. This is the Raw Pigments interview here. Let's see what else we have. Oh, the community channel for benefits, the tattoo history channel. This is amazing. Which one is this? This is that's Good Time Charlie. And then we have Drunk Critique Against Our Better Judgment. 24 hours a day, you can watch Drunk Critique. It's true. Okay, real quick, I want to talk about our sponsors that make all of this stuff actually happen. We have rawpigments.co, an ink company that has, acrylic-free pigments, so they don't dry out in the cup, or at least they don't dry out in the cup, and they are acrylic-free. Not everybody, a lot of people that have been trying them out seem to dig them, and they keep sticking with some pretty awesome tattooers. So it's been a pleasure. Rawpigments.co, check them out. Try out some samples if you can get a hold of them, or one of their starter packs, I guess. WorldTattooEvents.com, largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events that exists. Alex Van Dutch is doing a great job of keeping everybody up to date. He also has some pretty awesome interviews with the history of tattoo conventions and the future of tattoo conventions. If you do a search for either of those, you'll find the podcast and YouTube. Holy shit, these new, wow, that's still hot. The new Yeti cups, man. I think they make the tea hotter. Okay, sorry. I just burned myself. I won't do that again.
I thought maybe you like sipped on some vodka that you didn't know was
no. It's Yeti. Oh man, it's more than a thermos. I've had thermoses before. I think this shit heats up the. And D-Lyze Pro is known as Dermalyze Worldwide. If you want to protect your art as it's walking out the door, you might consider stop using Saran wrap that is not breathable and use Dermalyze, which is. There's tons of videos out there with the tattooers that are using it. So check it out. It's a D-Lyze Pro, Dermalyze Worldwide. We're definitely making sure that people know that the D-Lyze Pro in the United States is Dermalyze Worldwide. Thank you to international copyright stuff. Tattoo Now. I do technology for tattooers, and I'm about to drop some serious bombs if you're interested in like scheduling or posting your social medias 5 at a time, or not losing track of your clients. If you're, I know most of my website clients get so many emails, they lose track of their emails and clients. We can now organize them all in client databases. We could help streamline your communications so that your emails and your direct messages from Instagram and Facebook and your chat bubbles are all going through your Tattoo Now communication center. It's pretty out of control. All of my communications now are going through one center. My phone is now used mostly for personal stuff. It's kind of crazy. Okay, Tattoo Now, check it out. Guy Aitchison founded the Reinventing the Tattoo community. I mean, it was a book before it was a community. It was a seminar before it was a book. Anyways, Guy Aitchison for over 20 years has been helping us inspire each other to communicate with each other. I would be a cranky person who wasn't sharing and spending time by myself if it wasn't for his influence helping, well, us all become better people to share. And speaking of sharing, we're here with Robbie talking feelings. Please leave your positive reviews out on all those public channels to help us get the word out, because even though Reinventing's been around forever, these channels are all pretty new. If you want to host a Reinventing live event, good luck. That's still COVID going on here. But, you know, in the future, management at reinventingthetattoo.com. If you'd like to sponsor some of these virtual events, we do the same thing. Okay, is this working out and about? I hope it is. Looks like it's working on the YouTube. Let me check the Facebook. And yeah, seems to be working. So Robbie, thank you very much for hosting another Monday afternoon feels.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me, sir. I love what you just talked about being able to stream like 5 different things at once and all that. Like, dude, we got to talk deeper on that later.
Yeah, like sooner rather. My wait list is growing. It's now, dude. These tools are fucking. I'm dropping serious bombs. It's out of like personalized automated systems, right? It's like I'm a computer programmer,
right?
And I don't even want to talk about. I can't talk about it. I'm not here to pitch my new shit because I get too busy. But I want to get too busy. I could automate it. I could personalize and automate a lot of it. I could have 100 clients. Anyways.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So I was supposed to have my guests Jamie and Pete Carino today. I lost track and didn't reach out to them until like just now. So they may show up, they may not. But
pretty soon we'll have an automated system for that.
Hey,
and it'll be personalized.
So why don't me and you talk about some of the feelings that go around creating systems like this, and like, do you go through imposter syndrome? You know, do you
no, I don't. Yeah, imposter syndrome. Like I'm kind of not really. I have always had an oddly strong ego, I guess. Okay. So like, do I feel like I'm an imposter? No, I've always felt very authentic to who I am, for better or worse. And I don't know if that's what imposter syndrome means, but for me, like if I was to look up that definition, like do I feel like I should be here? Yeah, I'm clearly not a SAG fucking actor or host. So, I'm umming and on like a fucking community access online stream, we're going to tighten everything up as we have more resources, of course. But no, like I feel like I should be hammering out way more better shit than I am. So like I don't feel like I'm like imposturing. I feel like I'm not quite there yet, not even close to fulfilling where I'm going to be. I don't know. What's the definition of imposter syndrome? I hear people talking about it a lot, but I'm also not a, my art is really in numbers and usability. It's
Right.
not necessarily even up for debate.
So I kind of feel like I just heard some pop up when you're like, I feel like I could be doing more and better things. Um, you know, for me, so imposter syndrome to me, the way I look at it is you go into a craft or just any element, right? And you're okay, I'm going to start this business. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm trying hard, but I'm not trying hard enough. That just, I guess the self-sabotage is kind of what imposter syndrome feels like to me.
Well,
Like
self-sabotage, or at least in my case, comes in different ways. Like, it's not like I ever thought that I wasn't enough or shouldn't be. I mean, I definitely learning by trial and error, severe trial and error. But like, shit, wait, what was the exact? I forgot I had a thread for what we were saying.
we're just talking about imposter syndrome, and I was saying how sometimes it kind of
Self-sabotage. My self-sabotage is shit like, I don't like lawyers and can't stand money, and then all of a sudden I'm in charge of multi-millions of dollars, and it's like, well, you should probably care about protecting your ass and actually give a shit where the money goes,
right.
But then it becomes amazing when people are like, you motherfucker, you're all about the money. And I'm like, oh, amazing. If I was all about the money, I'd probably have some motherfuckers, like, and I know how to spend it. I know how to, but so that's where my self-sabotage came in. And again, a lot of it's generational. When my mom came out for the first time in like 15, 16 years, I don't talk to her very much, clearly. One of the things, and I was asking about lawyers and money for lawyers. She was like, you don't need money for lawyers. You don't need lawyers. Like, they're just out to suck your money and screw you. And I'm like, oh, I've heard that, when I was all growing up. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it's no surprise that I got fucking caught without a lawyer. I'm not going to get caught without a lawyer again, motherfuckers.
But yeah,
unless you catch me in the next month. But so no, like self-sabotage, but like that's different, right? Like you could self-sabotage because you don't believe in yourself, I guess, or self-sabotage because you don't want something secretly, or your father or mother always took it away from you at the very last minute or something. But that's not, of all my troubles and stuff, I don't necessarily, again, I feel like I said, I don't feel like an imposter,
that's good.
And again, I might not understand the definition of it. And certainly there's lots of people that second guess. I have second guessed myself, and I've torn myself down, and, when people were saying lots of mean things about me, I thought about every single one of them and was like, what part of these things are true or not, but I came out of it, no, I knew who I was going into it, and I knew clearly who I was going to be coming out of it. But no, sorry to say, I feel really bad when people, it really stresses out a lot of tattooers, and I don't know. That is something that my mom did instill upon me. Like, part of her brashness, like when I would be 10 years old, we walk into, behind stage at rock and roll concerts and stuff, like we own the place. And, for better or worse, I'm on the other end. I almost feel like I walk into a place and feel like I own it and need to actually pull back a little bit. Like, the world is not actually all of ours all of the time,
Well, I've always loved talking to you about like philosophical stuff and things of the heart and emotions, because you and I seem to be wired quite a bit differently, with similarities, quite a bit of similarities. So I think it's really interesting that you walk around with this sense of I don't want to say entitlement, but like, no, this is mine, I'm good, rather than oh, I don't deserve to be here. Because as you said, with tattooers, a lot of tattooers, I mean, fuck, I felt that way so many times when I came to guest at your shop back then, like oh my dude, the interview that we did on tattoonow.com, and I was fucking getting hammered because I was terrified being there in front of the camera, like I had to like center myself by numbing the fears. And that was huge imposter syndrome for me at that point. And, I remember having the ideas of let's do this, motivational, feelings-based stuff for tattooers. And I had tons of imposter syndrome back then. And I'm battling with it terribly now. I'm starting online coaching space for, human coaching and,
Yeah, sure.
oh my God, the imposter syndrome I feel in that, like, who the fuck am I to take, large sums of money from people in exchange for, basically advice.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm a computer geek, man. Like, and now, like, I'm a white trash computer geek. So I grew up on fucking Section 8 and fucking, eating government cheese and shit, and in a nice town. Like, I grew up in a nice place, poor. But when I was 18, 19, maybe 20, I was like programming computers for people that were giving me like loads of dough, right? And now, so that was a dramatic shift, from government cheese and Section 8, and again, and a mother who I didn't talk to for fucking 50, like, again, I left that shit behind, to roam the world, making hundreds of dollars an hour programming, different games and shit, right? So I got it out real quick. I'm like, and at that time I would be teaching university level programming classes. Nobody knew how to program back then. So it was like, I'd be 22 or 23 years old teaching 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, they're my age probably now at the time, how to program, right? And some of them couldn't do it. So there I am, like, getting paid, $1,000 a day as a fucking 22-year-old in mid-90s, to teach at a university. I dropped out of college. I didn't go to college, but I'm teaching as a faculty at a university. And maybe there was an inkling of like, that's a little strange. Like, how am I, teaching somebody that's twice my age? But the fact that like, some of them couldn't even do it, it was, we're all here to do different things. But mostly I was like, I'm just going to, a couple deaths, then too will also make it be like, we're here to experience this once. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to do my best to not let, any part of nature get in my way of having a real good time and experiencing it as much as possible. Now, nature has its way.
being that you were able to, like, because you did have imposter syndrome when you were popping up saying like, how am I this young teaching these guys this thing, but you didn't let it cripple you. Like, and I think that's what it really matters, is what we do with what we're feeling, right? You're like, sure. Oh, how am I teaching these guys? Because I am. Let's move forward. Rather than the tattooer that's like, how am I in this room with all this greatness? Yeah. Oh, I deserve to be here. Oh, let me fucking be sad about it. Oh, I'm such a loser.
Yeah. But okay, so the way that I get through that is it's a lot of all the stuff is, comes to do with our upbringing. I learned very young that I know that everybody feels like they're smarter than their parents. But my parents were pretty fucked up, right? It's easy to be smarter than absent parents.
Got it.
Went to my mom went to an Episcopalian church because my mom had a crush on the pastor. I hope she doesn't listen to this. But then I was a troubled kid that went to Catholic school, right? So like all of a sudden the Catholic school is teaching me that I'm going to hell. Well, there are rumors of fucking kids, right? Like it's like, and they're pro-life, pro-life, anti-abortion, all the way. Like the rhetoric was, so obvious, at least, for me being, I don't know, I was in 5th grade. Like, I'm like, this is utter bullshit. So my like ability to talk to almost anybody as an equal, no matter like, where your official stature or status is, like it came from that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you're wearing. I don't give a fuck what you're driving. I don't give a fuck, where you live. That doesn't mean jack shit. There's nature has spread seeds fucking all over the place. Just because you ended up having great parents that gave you a leg up or whatever doesn't mean jack shit. And as we've known, as we grow older, often people that don't have to, fight for shit inherently end up taking it for granted, right? So, but that's a beautiful part of nature. So then you take it for granted, you lose it, somebody else gets it, and if you whenever you start to take it for granted, someone's gonna fucking bop you on the back of the head with a baseball bat and take it, whether it's fair or not.
That's wild. Like so many things just popped up in that content you were just putting out. Like uh, the concept of people that get it too easy, you know, don't realize how easy they got it. Like basically, the struggle is necessary.
Yeah. And there's no way for them to, right?
Right, right.
So in
'Cause
some ways.
if you don't know, you don't know. And struggle seems like the core of a lot of things. I was just on the phone with one of my coaches. That's why I was late to getting on this. And one of the things he was saying was, he knows these people that he's like, yeah, the dude was telling me one time, our marriage is actually really good, like all the time. But without the lows, it kind of doesn't even feel that good. So
Yeah.
that,
But again, a
that
couple deaths, man, for me, it's like I wake up every day, knowing that the bad news is coming. And if it's not coming for me, it's coming for someone I love, and it's not even a question of if, right? So it's like that's my motivator, and I don't want to even, I don't want to talk about it anymore because I don't want to conjure it up and fucking, point is, living every day, to its fullest. And remembering, that you can't take anything for granted. And like the tattoo shop, like or even with Tattoo Now or with Reinventing. But really with the tattoo shop, there was so much action happening there, and there's so many awesome people coming through. It was really, and I don't even want to say it was easy to take for granted, but like it was almost natural to take for granted, right? You have to fight against now. Again, like this is what I'm saying. Like I'm still get giddy, every time I talk to a guy, I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking to a guy. This is amazing. Or Bob, or or Ivana, or Carrie Barba. It's like holy shit. Like, but the human brain is, when there's repetition, it becomes repetitious. So this is why it's so easy. You see so many tattoo shops and artists in conflict because after 5 years, both parties think that or have come into it's normal, right? And it's not super special, the routine. And I don't know, like I said, mostly it's just special every day. And you really can't take it for granted. And that's what I'm saying. As soon as you do start taking it for granted, somebody's going to elbow you and remind you that you can't take it for granted.
Absolutely.
Or you can, but you won't keep it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember one time years ago, I was talking to a dude that I was tattooing, and it was during an economical boom, and he was talking about how it's like printing money, and how many times he'd gone through these periods of his life where there's an economical boom or his business was going great, but then also the dull moments of between those. And at the time I was going through an economical boom and I couldn't see past it to where a boom wasn't going to happen anymore. And then the dip comes, and it's really interesting when you're like, shit, I shouldn't have taken that for granted, in hindsight. So
oh yeah.
It's really insane.
It's even worse when it's like, I had so many people be like, I couldn't see that coming. I was like, actually, my wife saw it coming. A couple of, I'm not surprised. Like that's a horrible part. Like watching some, and we were doing big things. But to your point, like it's funny because from my perspective, I'm like cobbling together some cameras and computers, knowing what kind of budgets are out there for real development companies. I mean, again, it was pretty cool. I'm not trying to disparage it at all, but like, I'm just a computer geek trying to do some fun, cool things. And, in reality, there's so many different people that have so many different perceptions and agendas that you have to adjust to what people's perceptions are, right? So like as a owner of a small shop with 2 or 3 artists, it's a world of difference between being the effective CEO of a multi-million-dollar organization. And often in tattooing, people don't understand, like as their influence is growing, they don't understand the responsibility grows along with it.
Yes.
Oh man, we're just about to open up a massive fucking topic. Hey guys. There.
Hey Robbie,
hey,
how are
Laura.
you? I just thought I'd pop in. I'm just still in the office today, and I just wanted to say hi, Robbie. And I was really excited to show a close friend of mine one of your videos from the Rad movement today. And you normally hold up your phone and you show someone and then you put it down. But with your stuff, it was so moving and so wonderful that we all stood there for 5 minutes just taking it all in. And it was such a great moment, and I wanted to let you know.
Oh, wow, that is that's huge. Thank you so much. Like, as me and Gabe were just talking about imposter syndrome when we hopped on, I am going through major imposter syndrome with creating my coaching program in the online coaching space, and hearing something positive about my content, it hits me in a good place, because like having that much worry and having that much concern about not being good enough, man, like, and then hearing that I'm like not just good enough but like more than good, that's fucking huge. So
I took a summit once. It was through Teachable, which is an online teachers thing. There's many things I took from it, and one of them was that to teach, it's better to be one step ahead than a mile away. So if you really want to be this crazy person that is in your mind a distant figure or a distant version of yourself, well, like, you might not be the best teacher.
Right. Well, and to tie into that, people say that you teach what you need to learn, and I've heard that a lot lately. And that was part of the imposter syndrome for me. How am I going to teach this stuff when I have so much to learn? So
It's a circle. Learn, teach, learn, teach, learn, teach.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. So glad you popped in here today.
I was going to say the other thing though, Robbie.
Yeah.
If you don't, this is what Lisa to Motivate said in it. If you don't do you, you won't be done.
Ooh.
So the only way, I know the imposter, but if you don't just keep doing you, it'll never happen. Even if you feel like you're not you in your own regard for teaching, but if you don't do it, it'll never get done.
Damn.
Sorry.
Dropping bombs on me. That's sick. No,
Sorry, guys.
so and the world does need people's different unique perspectives, because the way I see things, the way I view things, the way I've processed things, that perspective can help so many people in so many ways. So yeah, thank you for that. Once again, if you don't do you, it don't get done. That's a big one. I've never heard that before either. So
it's like there's so little words, you can choose which ones to focus on. But for me, I personally don't focus on the you part, or me part. I focus on the doing part.
Right.
Because if you keep focusing on you really lose sight of the action. And the action is what kind of defines you anyway. So
yeah. And imperfect action is better than none.
Yeah. Well,
depends on how detrimental that imperfect action is, right?
You tell me, Gabe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess almost to the previous point, right? Like in my moment of like career free fall, right? Like, so like when some of the most horrendous things are being said about me and I'm actually losing my, business. So, it was tremendous. There was a part of me that was like, man, my seminar is worth millions now. Like the worth of my seminar is going up so much. Like these lessons that I'm learning, if I survive, which was not guaranteed, and but I was like, even then I was like, man, even like this failure could be worth so much more. I know it's going to take a long ass fucking time. And like, people a week later, people would be like, oh, don't worry, you'll come back even better than ever. I'm like, can I still bleed out first? Can I bleed out? I'm still bleeding. I got like 6 months of bleeding out before you pat me on the back and tell me you can't wait for the next thing. I'm not even dead yet. I gotta get to my next life. I gotta die first. It's gonna take like 3 months. That was a big thing to die. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's important that you say that, because like, you have to lay in a pool of your own blood sometimes, just to let that out, let that be born again, like the phoenix rising from the ashes and so on. So yeah, the level of sitting in that is a difficult balance, because how long do you sit in it? You said you had a couple months. Yeah, of course, because like
it was longer than a couple months to sit in it.
Right. And so like, how much of that was unnecessary? How much of that was it all necessary? So it's interesting when we're going through those beatings, and those deaths to be reborn.
I
And
mean,
the
legally, it was, there's at least a couple of months. I don't think I got out of it too much sooner than I could have. I mean,
Right.
it
Maybe I'll
was
be
a
do it like a
behemoth
guest
and a,
spot on one of your things, Dave.
what was that?
Maybe I can do a guest chapter in one of those seminars.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. The,
of failure and success. Yeah, I think we all could, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's and it's weird because I've had some failures in my business lately that I'm learning how to grow from. Losing some artists, and as you know, you can, man, people can make you a bad guy, and like you're just really trying not to be a bad guy. So it's really interesting. Like, what's the gestation period of the death? Like,
yeah.
and how much of a bad guy are you supposed to feel? Like, do you need to feel some of those things? Because maybe some of their fucking words are true, and maybe that's part of the lesson. Like, I know some of the things people say about me are true, but I also know most of what people say about me isn't true.
Sure.
When it comes to somebody in their pain state, and feeling attacked or not heard or whatever the hell their pain state is in reference to what I'm going through. So yeah, it's really interesting, like what that gestation period is. How long am I supposed to lay here and bleed?
I don't know, maybe if you think about the things that are coming in, and you'd be a lot more deflective with your action rather than saying, what types of information about myself am I willing to take in?
Right. Yeah.
And if it doesn't fit the bill, don't take it in.
No, and that's difficult to do, right? Like, yeah. As an insecure man, father, lover, husband, artist, like I'm constantly like, if you say you can say 10 good things and you say one bad thing, I'm like, wow, thanks for that. But all right, what are you talking about in that bad spot? Like, and that's the choice, deciding what to take in. Because when you decide what to take in, then you're actually controlling that. So that's really good information too. Damn, you're full of them today, man. You're solid.
Long story. I was just in a really cool meeting, and I think that kind of hyped me up.
Okay. I mean, do you mind sharing some about
Actually, wait. I think Lauren, I definitely think you should. I think my therapy session's over though. You wrote me in for another 25 minutes there, Robbie, but that's all you get.
Right. Okay.
I will hop on my phone, but I'm gonna hop off the video here and try to hop into the background. Okay. Robbie, I'm gonna make you host, unless okay. Lauren, you want to be host.
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. What will he do?
Lauren, I'm gonna make you host. I trust you more. Sorry.
I mean, you should. You work with her full on, man.
Voila. Okay.
Here I am.
Cheers, everybody.
Like that.
So, host, Lauren.
May I call you Robert?
Yeah, if you feel necessity. I mean, I wish there was like a more formal Lauren name. I have
a Spanish name.
What's that?
Lorena.
See?
Yeah. Yeah.
What about this meeting got you jazzed? Like, what kind of meeting was it? Because I also just got off a pretty jazzy meeting. So let me hear about.
Mine was with someone we were talking about our launch for raw pigments into Europe.
Okay.
And I was just really excited because there's only so many people in the industry that you find and you're like, whoa, you guys have the same goals. You're here right now. What are the odds that we would be linking up in this conversation? You have the same drive for something, you're on a common mission with a complete stranger. And to see these two dreams kind of form this big dream where it's like how many steps it took to even get to this point for us and then someone else unrelated. So really, essentially, we're all excited about like the release of our stuff into Europe because it's been an incredible journey to get there.
Well, yeah, because like with the Europe pigments, like that's still pretty rough, right? Like you had like the formulas for the inks had to be completely like scientifically changed around to make it work. Am I correct in this?
Correct.
So yeah, that's fucking huge. Because I remember, a year ago, we were afraid that we weren't going to be able to use certain tones, and that was a big thing. So wow, that's huge, man. That's wild. And you kind of like, how did you find your way into this situation? Like, how did you find your way to reinventing and all this? And, you know,
Oh
like,
my gosh. I one day met a man named Litos, right?
Yeah.
Do you
He's
know
a-
Litos? He's a good man. He's a great friend. And so I met him and I told him about a vision I had in the shower. And the vision was I saw a group of people together for an educational event. And I thought, I didn't know why I had the vision. So I called Litos. He's like, oh, let me introduce you to my friend Gabe. He would know. So I met Gabe and Gabe's like, well, hey, we're actually going to be doing something called VTG. You think maybe that you guys would like to join? So then that's pretty much how I got into that, meeting him and Guy. And it was great. We did a lot of it. It was like 3-day streaming, you know, like setting up events for 3 days that we've never even used a computer and a camera together before, ever, or Zoom. So that's kind of how I met them. And then a few months later, I was with a company. It was like very important to me. And then something bad happened. And then now I'm with a different company. So right when that happened, Gabe called me and then Guy called me and said, hey, Lauren, you know what? I think we have a path for you to go down. And I said, okay, that's great. When do you want to start? I said, right now is fine. So I started pretty much the next week, but that's how I got into reinventing. And I met some of my best friends, Jason Leeser, Ricardo, Gabe, like so many people through reinventing. It's almost like Guy has like this badge of like a gatekeeper of great people. I don't know. It's a huge community. I love it so much. And then, you know, I spent a lot of time talking to Gabe and we kind of then started doing shows and stuff, you know, changed from BTG to an app, to the Canon, to a trimester, to all of this stuff within 2 years, pretty much, because this started in 2020 with my involvement. Sandy
Wow.
also. So it's just amazing. And then also kind of simultaneously, I work with raw pigments.
Damn, that's cool. So it's just like a organic flow of things.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm sure you went through a lot of stresses and worries, and so let's go to imposter syndrome again. Did you have a lot of that popping up throughout the processes of figuring out, you know, who am I going to be next? What am I going to do next? Or was it just kind of like, nah, fuck it, I'm good, let's ride?
Yeah, I had that.
Lots of it.
Where you look at yourself and think like every single relationship you had with anybody was only because of X or Y, you know, it wasn't you. People don't like you. They just like what you can do.
I've gone through that a lot. And I think I'm in that right now. And it's interesting because going through it before means, you know, you can make it through it again.
Oh my gosh, I had a great realization. Remember what I said before? If you focus on what you do, that defines you.
Yeah.
So really what you do is you.
Huh.
Yeah.
And get stuck in that too. You know, like I was a tattoo guy for so many years and that's all I was, because that's all I did, it seemed. So yeah, and it goes back to what you said also about choosing what you take in. You have to take in the proper parts. So yeah, that's, man, I'm quite blown away just by our interaction. Just dude, my day has been totally a mess. My schedule has been completely out of whack. I didn't reach out to my guests in time, so they probably forgot. And then in pops in Lauren and has this organically beautiful, you know, conversation while I'm listening to my child screaming in the background and trying to stay focused on this.
It's okay. I had 2 kids. Honestly, if you want to talk about feelings, talk about parenting for a second.
So,
While trying to be good at life. It's so hard.
How old are yours?
I have a 5 and a 3-year-old.
Okay, so you're probably, you have very close memories of what I'm experiencing now. He's almost a 3-month-old.
Oh, okay.
And he's beautiful. He's amazing. He's wonderful. He's, you know, a blessing from the heavens, right? Like, but he's also a little human that's figuring it all out. And like, he tests you, and he like, you know, like I hear him screaming, and I hear, you know, my Donna out there, you know, like making noises and trying to calm him down. And it's like, man, there's times where we like, you just get this dissociated fucking mental thing, and you're like, I'm alive, and that's all I am, and I'm trying to keep this child happy. He's screaming, and being a new father all over again, because I've got a 21-year-old, but being a new father all again has taken so many feelings and popped them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about your feelings around being a parent.
I've said it before, but I've never really understood that type of unconditional love until I held my daughter in my hands for the first time. And then it's like, okay, you level up what you're willing to take for another human. And I'm talking physically, because that was the worst pain of my life.
Yeah.
Ever. So I was like, okay, I did the worst shit in my whole life for you. And now I get to take you home with me, you know, and teach you how to read and ride a bike and communicate and to love me back, you know. And it is a journey. And I took her to a lot of conventions at first. My son was born later. I took her to tattoo conventions. She loved it all over. And I was in Texas once at one, holding her, just crying and screaming. And a lady pulled me out. She's like, you know, you can either choose to put the time in right now, or you're going to have to put the time in later. And then she just kind of walked away. So that one was so life-changing to me. So I decided all the work that maybe I thought that I would need to put into her, I just put into her. And she's pretty smart, and she makes really good life decisions. She's only 5 years old, but that's being a parent. But with having two is a great idea. It's a terrible idea that it is a great idea.
See, we are not having a second at this point.
Well, not now.
We are interested in possibly adopting at some point. She does not want to do childbirth and labor anymore. It was a lot. It was a lot on her. It was a lot on us. It was a lot. It was too much. You know, like it was great because we have him, but like that's not a road we choose to go down. But it's weird. Having two at such different age gaps is awesome, because my 21-year-old, like, he's a grown-up almost, you know what I'm saying? Like he is, but like he like helps us with the baby, and like he's like emotionally loving and supportive, and like he loves his little brother in the same way that we do. Because cool. You know, so it's like it's this odd parental love that he has over him, because he's grown enough to understand the responsibility that any human has over a baby, you know. So that's really cool for us, having two in that sense. So you're talking about it's great having two closer together, and what's the positive on that side? Like, why is that great?
Because there's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is because they've grown up. That's all they know. So I was pregnant with my son when my daughter was 1.
Right.
So she's never known anything different. And she also, like you said, it's like love is like this little thing. And if you can give it to someone else, it's the most precious of all gifts. So I had my son. It's like this little love I gave to her, I guess. But she loves him just as well as I do.
That's so cool. I didn't even think of that.
It's not about me.
What's that?
It wasn't about me, that's for sure, because having a child, it's really, really, really hard. And it doesn't stop just because you had them.
No, it doesn't. And that's the thing about life. Like, life doesn't stop. So like, you know, I had this weird thing like, oh, well, you know, the pregnancy is going to be over. It'll get easier because the difficulties of the pregnancy aren't here. And then the difficulties of having a baby are showing up. And like, I fought against it. I was like, I'm not going to have this baby sleeping in bed with us. And like, yeah, he sleeps in the bassinet next to us. But most of the time when he can't calm, like one of us holds him and soothes him. And like, Like, dude, I was having a shit morning the other day, and holding him and focusing on him, like, directed my focus and gave me a place to put my love. And like, it calmed him down and it made my shit morning better. So it's really interesting, that love, that gift of love that is human. Like, you fucking grow it inside of you, you know, based on hopefully love, you know, like, and so it's just it's this whole cyclical love gift. Like, so that's, man, I can't
My
stop saying.
son was basically my gift. My gift to my daughter. I mean, like I said, I was out of it, but I didn't want her not to have that.
Yeah, yeah, dude. That's fucking wild. I didn't even think of like the love gift of a child to another child. And like I said, it's so cool seeing that with my oldest son. And like for me with him, my feelings around that were, his first thing was, I'm gonna be jealous of the baby because he's gonna get more of your time than I did. Because I was early 20s, you know, hustling to be a tat god, right? You know, so like, I didn't realize that tattooing wasn't the most important thing in life at that time. My son was very important to me, but like, also, I didn't know how to love him the way that I love the baby because I was so caught up in work, and that was my focus. So it's a very interesting love shift as I've gotten older. My focus is more family important than it is, like, the businesses are important, right? But like, when you have children, it just seems like, I don't know, at the older age that I'm at, the businesses are cool, but the family is more important. Like, I cater to my 21-year-old like he's a child, but not like physically, more like emotionally. Like, I'm just more open and more giving to him as a father now than I was, because we were both children back then. And I didn't know how to give that unconditional love. And like, unconditional love is something that I've had to like learn how to do. So it's just really cool that the new baby is not just giving me love there, but also a newfound love with my older son. So yeah, it's all cool. And then like the relationship with Donna, you know, my youngest son's mom, you realize that it's more, you know, like, it's more than just a parent to your child. It's like this whole multifaceted relational realm that you have to get into. And whew, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's all beautiful and it's all awesome. And there's difficulties and there's hills and valleys. And it's nice knowing that you've climbed up the hill when you get to coast down, you know?
I don't know. What little, it's like, man, I was just in Virginia. Talk about rolling mountains. Something like that. That's how it feels.
Yeah, no, it totally does. No, oh my God, every part of my life feels like rolling mountains, you know, just ups and downs and ups and downs and up. And like, sometimes I get out and I smell the roses and then get back in the car and it's another down again, you know? So it's a weird life.
I
Life
kind of
is,
love the lows, to be honest. I was so sick of hating them. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to try loving this a little bit more because I know where the next move, just based on my life, exactly. It just goes up and down, up and down. But if you actually do love the low for what it is, you get a little bit more out of it. It's like you know, if you're jumping on a trampoline and you're going to go down and you just almost get your ass to the ground to jump up, but you get down there, you go higher.
yeah.
You know?
Damn, dude. Where'd you come from, homie? Like, just dropping all the nuggets. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, and loving the lows is part of my journey right now. Learning how to say yes to the tough stuff.
You know, there's a super easy trick too. It's because like our bodies are dumb. All you have to do, literally all you have to do is just keep telling yourself that. That's it. Your body will believe it. Yeah. Even if you don't believe it at first, you just tell your body, it's just like the American people. You keep telling them something and they believe it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, I mean, I told myself I love the gym enough times and here we are, loving the gym, you know?
Yeah, believe me, I know.
Dude, it's such a struggle, but you're absolutely right. You just have to stay constant and consistent and know that you'll make it through, know that you're doing the right things, and know that moving forward is part of it, you know? Yeah, I'm loving the lows. I remember one of my homies told me one time, he's like, man, I'm driving my Hellcat through my fucking neighborhood, blasting death metal, fucking on my way to the tat shop. And I see one of my neighbors, this awesome dude, old dude, just kind of chilling. And I see him clipping his grass with fucking scissors. And he's like, I want to be like that guy. He loves the toil. Like, he embraces the work and he enjoys it. Like, the guy's out there smiling, having fun, sweating, bent over with fucking scissors, cutting his grass, because that's the work that he loves. So loving the hard stuff is something that I don't think we're taught enough as youngsters. I don't think we're taught enough as grown-ups. You know, at the end of the day, it's something that if we do remind ourselves, like you said, I love this tough stuff. This is great for me. You know, it's a thing. And every so often,
Happy Gilmore, you know, he goes in there and he gets the whole freaking, you know, in the part with the batting cage.
yeah,
Like
yeah, totally, dude, totally. Fuck, man. Yeah, like learning to love the hard stuff takes away that dread, that misery, that discomfort, that unhappiness. You know, because happiness is a choice, right? And while we know this, it's hard to remember this. So, yeah, man. Fuck. Well,
you know, you want to hear what I've always thought about you? You want to hear it?
Yeah.
I've seen you a million times. Million.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always thought you're the coolest guy around.
Shut up.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
You've got a great name. Everybody who talks about you. I've even heard people, oh my God, Robbie Ripoll's here. Many, 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 many times. Many, many times.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
That is.
So the thing is, you don't actually know what people think about you because there's so many people that know exactly who you are and think great. But how would you know that? You know, because just people passing or whatever. But I've been doing conventions for a decade, you know, just going to them all the time. And I've seen before the rad movement, I don't know when I first crossed your path, what year it was, maybe, who knows? But you've definitely progressed. You've definitely adapted. You definitely have a reputation that's very good. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, your legacy totally is untouchable. And I mean, you could have to do something really shitty to hurt that legacy, but it's there and it's a living, breathing thing. Don't worry about it anymore. You know, just do you.
Dude.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get rendered speechless often. And it's funny because as you're saying that, two things pop into my head. Are you familiar with who Matt Clemmer is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I took Tattoo Business Mastery, his class on tattooing last year, and one of the things that hit me hard was he made it a major lesson in that portion was you are impacting people that you have no idea you're impacting, and to have that reminded of, right? And then when I was on their podcast the first time, Joshua Carlton was like, yeah, man, like we wanted you here. Like, your name came up more than anyone else's name. And fucking Joshua Carlton is saying this about me, right? Like, I'm like, who the fucking what? Like, and so full disclosure, I just got off a fucking coaching call with my now new coach that I just physically hired right before I got on this call today. And one of the things that we are going to be targeting mainly in my scope of life and control is how to see myself as others see me and remove these bullshit limiting beliefs that I've fucking grown to believe and take as truth.
Yeah, tease your body a little bit and say, dumb body, I am X, Y, and Z, but
Right.
literally. Someone once asked me, is like, is it, or like I saw it on a video and they're like, things you tell yourself, it's like, is it either a mood that you kind of are in when you say these things to yourself, or is that your temperament? Because you say them all the time. You definitely want to not be doing that.
Yeah.
That
Well,
self-talk and stuff.
the self-deprecating stuff has always been like an easy place to go, and you can hide it behind humor. Like, oh, I fucking suck. So nobody actually feels your pain unless they're super empathetic, right? And then now you're hurting people around you by saying things like this because you're hurting yourself.
Oh
So
my God, that was deep.
dude, that was a fucking the egg theory.
The egg theory.
Look it up on YouTube.
Okay.
That was one of the things that taught me mainly was when you victimize those around you, you're actually victimizing yourself, because we are the egg theory is basically like we are the only person in our existence reincarnated over and over to make every person around us. So everything in this world is a reflection of us.
That makes sense. All right.
Right. And to hurt someone else is to hurt us, because you are us.
How could that not be true?
Right.
It makes so much perfect sense.
Right. Even though it's like really like woo woo and it's like super ethereal, like when you start to like dissect it, but like if you just let it land right there, like it makes total fucking sense. Total sense. We are everyone. Like in the book The Four Agreements, at the beginning of it, a man has this discovery, I am God. And he's like, but also you are God. And also you. We all have God in ourselves. And really, God is just being in touch with our best self. It's not this man on a throne in a sky. It's God is living my best life inside of me. And when I'm true to myself, that's when I'm truly in touch with God, which is being in touch with nature, in touch with spirit, in touch with yourself. Like, and if we look at it as we are all the same, then you have to be in touch with yourself. Because if you're not, then you're going to run around fucking yourself up all over the place, which is why I just paid way more money than I ever thought I would for coaching, to help trick my stupid body into believing what others see in me.
That's a good one.
And then, you come and dropping all these love bombs on me, telling me how fucking great I am. And I'm like, oh, what?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Do this. Thank you. You know what I mean? Just like when, and in that way, you be more receptive to those things. A lot of people probably timidly don't want to tell you that. So they don't. But, anyway.
It's weird because you don't realize how much difference you're making in someone else when you give them that gift. But you're so afraid to share that gift because like, oh, they've heard it before. Oh, they're going to think I'm weird, or whatever the fuck story we tell ourselves. So thank you for being brave and like coming out and telling me nice things about myself.
You're welcome.
Because I definitely need to hear them. And why I like talking about feelings is because I have a lot of them. So I truly. So
did you always like talking about your feelings, or is this something like an acquired taste for you?
I've always been fucking super stupid vulnerable. Like it's just super easy to just come out and do it. I don't know why. I'd rather do that. But the problem was, like a baby X-Men, like when you don't know how to use your powers, my feelings were too much a lot of the time. So, I would get stuck in them and then project and all kinds of fucked up shit. So, while I've always loved talking about my feelings, I've not always been great at communicating them healthy. And healthy communication is one of the most important things, and also one of the things that I've struggled with the most in my life, because,
You don't have to use your words.
Right.
So if you're struggling with your words, honestly, that's why they call it mediums. Because like, if you're really mad, a nurse would say hit something, because it's like energy that's like you need to put it out.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with your words, try playing a guitar or they need to come out somehow.
Right.
Sometimes words are a little more satisfying depending on who you're talking to, but also like music, art,
Well,
paint,
words constructive too.
put your feelings into that.
Yeah, no, and that's totally right. Because like when I went through my second divorce, I didn't have we didn't talk good going through that divorce, so we couldn't communicate. So one of the things I did, I fucking killed myself in the gym. Like it was probably one of the grossest, saddest, and most beautiful times of my life. Like I can literally right now see myself in that gym, because like the cardio was on the first floor and you walked in on the second floor. So I just remember like looking into that cardio room and I can see myself on the cardio going nuts and fucking crying. And like somewhere between not giving a fuck and letting it out and giving a fuck, like somewhere in there, because I didn't want to be like, ah! But if you're an empath, you're feeling me probably outside that fucking gym, because dude, I was just putting so much into it and hurting myself so bad for the greater good. And like that was perfect example of that, just going all in on myself when I had to, because if not, I was gonna just self-destruct. So yeah.
You want to stay alive, because a lifetime is the most precious gift you could possibly ever have.
Right.
Stay alive, but make sure you take care of, all those things, especially like for me, when I'm upset, I literally like turn to exercise.
Yeah.
Just on that quest for, an even biochemistry. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I totally get it. What time is it?
We gotta go on our nightly walk in a half hour.
All right, so it's 6.
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Well, I've
Yeah.
been running behind schedule on everything today, so I will go ahead, since my lovely Donna came in and let me know what's going on. I'm gonna go ahead and pop off.
Well, needless to say, it's been absolutely lovely. Lovely.
Well, same.
Talking to you.
Same, absolutely. And like I said, my guests didn't show up, and I didn't give them enough warning, and you showed up, and that is absolutely perfect. So thank you for all the wonderful things you just brought into my life. And I look forward to speaking with you soon in the future.
Absolutely. I'm gonna I'm sure I'll see you somewhere.
Absolutely. And all the listeners and viewers out there, thanks. Check out the Rad Movement on the social medias. Check out Robbie Ripoll on the social medias. Appreciate Reinventing the Tattoo for having me be doing this. This is, it's still difficult for me because I'm still working on receiving. To be able, the imposter syndrome pops up and I'm like, nobody ever wants to watch this, or nobody's ever going to show up. And then I hear all these wonderful things at different times. So thank you, Lauren, for reminding me that what I'm doing is important. And thank you, Reinventing, for having me here, and Guy and Gabe. So yeah, tune in every Monday at 5 p.m. for weird shit like this.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, love. Take